Hi there everyone, and welcome back to the Vintage Sewing Machine Garage YouTube channel and the FOF model number 6, the first one I have ever worked on, and I am continuing my quest to get all of the machine moving properly. Now, one of the things we know about any kind of machine, whether it's a sewing machine or something else, when you have mechanical parts, very often all of these parts, or most of the parts, are interconnected. In other words, each part has a relevance to another. And this is true when we're dealing with vintage sewing machines. So if I move the camera here, and I'll show you what I mean. So I have been working, as you all have seen me, on the stitch length regulator, and I've gotten it to move. But does that mean that the machine entirely is it a go? Is it ready to, get everything put back together and fired up? Well, not quite. So what exactly do I mean by this? So obviously, when we've taken a look at the mechanical pieces that I've shown you all that are behind the stitch regulator, of course, they connect to the rest of the machine. And so this is, there's a connection that goes on, but what about the rest of the machine? Sometimes what you will discover is that you have gotten one portion of a machine to get free, and it's moving and it seems to be happy, but the machine is not ready to sew. And you think, well, why? I put all this effort into getting the stitch regulator, stitch length regulator, ready to go. And this machine is relatively simple. It has a straight stitch. That's what it does. There's no zigzag, there's no reverse stitches, no stretch stitches. Those fancy features would come along with either other models that were more expensive, and certainly you saw them more frequently as time marched on. But remember, I believe I mentioned this before, some of the European manufacturers, FOF in Germany and Bernina in Switzerland, would do this, maybe a few of the others. They would actually mark with red paint specific places where the owner, certainly a shop, but the owner was expected to oil their own machine. And of course, you would oil them, and I'm going to do that now. And you can see me doing this. I'm putting oil in places where I see red. Normally, for normal oiling maintenance, 1 drop and 1 drop only. In my case, I'm putting 2 to 3 drops because the machine is very dry. Now, we're not done yet, because what else do we need to do? We need to get access to our needle and our presser bar and the mechanical rotating pieces that are part of the take-up arm right here. Well, as I was going through this machine, I realized something. Because it's been so long since I worked on a FOF with this type of setup, for reasons that escape me, the German engineers decided, hey, we don't need to have a door here. So this does not open, it doesn't screw off, it doesn't swing off, it's just there. There's a slit here opening for the take-up arm to move up and down, but I am not aware of any way to remove this. Now there is a screw that, well, actually no, I take that back, that's not a screw, there's just a hole over in the back, and I'm not quite sure why. And I don't know, and the hole is not threaded to my knowledge. So how do you clean this? Well, I took the vacuum, pretend this is the vacuum hose, use your imagination here. And I took the vacuum and I went down and I vacuumed out what I could. And then I, got my flashlight on and I looked down in there and I got all the filth that I could see anyway. Let's see if we can get you a little closer here so you can get a little bit better view of what I was seeing. So if I turn the machine, it'll make more sense to you. You can see all of the moving parts. We're not used to seeing these from above. Obviously, most of the time we see them from the side, but you're not going to on this model unless there's something I am missing, and that is entirely possible. If you own this machine and you know how to take this off, you let me know, please. But I don't believe it does. And given that, what do? We come in and we do the same thing. Now you won't see, well, actually I take that back. There are 2 red dots here. I don't know if they're going to show up for you. There's one there, right? It's saying, hey, Put some oil there, and there's another one. Hey, put some oil there, right? Now, what if you don't see a red dot? There may be other areas that you want to oil, and that's fine. There's another area down in here. I can zoom in a little further. Let's see. Make sure my zoom is going to work for us. And no. And sure enough, if I come down in here, and you may have to rotate the machine to bring it up where you can see, and then further down, like way further down, there's the top of the needle bar, and I have just oiled that. And I can do the same, and we'll do the same for the presser bar. And so now, what does any of this have to do with the rest of the machine? Again, it's great that I've got probably the greatest challenge of the entire machine has been this stitch length adjustment. And it works. It seems to be very happy. I haven't tested it yet, so I don't want to get too excited. I could start this machine and it could give me a horrible stitch. I hope it doesn't. I really hope it doesn't. However, you never know. Now, but we're not done. Can any of you guess what have I missed? What have we not talked about? Well, if you guess the undercarriage of the machine, you are correct. As I have mentioned many times, again, once I typically begin at the upper levels of the machine because, dust and dirt falls downward, and I start there and then I work my way down. Now, I did that in the cleaning. I went and vacuumed and cleaned out any dust, lint, or any other filth that happened to be here. And then I began the lubrication process, spent a lot of time on that stitch regulator, but we're not finished because even though the stitch regulator is moving, we need to make sure that the rest of the machine is ready to play with every other part. So we come in and again, we start oiling each part. And of course, this is the device that lowers the feed dogs, right? So, I think I had sprayed some penetrant in here to loosen it up, and now it works beautifully. Now I'm not afraid to touch the knob for lowering the feed dogs. By the way, when I do this piece here should rotate. If you have a machine and you've gotten this to work, you've gotten the knob, usually it's a knob of some sort, sometimes a button. Some of the Japanese machines have buttons, and you get the little torpedo to come out, and you're like, hey, I can move the feed dogs up and down. But you need to make sure that usually there's a section here that will rotate. And normally, when you open the feed dogs, it will drop gravity, and your feed dogs just drop naturally. However, if you've got old oil in here, you might think, hey, my feed dogs didn't drop. You can push them down if you need to, and they'll drop, and they should stay. But when it's time to put the feed dogs back in position, just make sure, again, I don't know that it's spring loaded here, so I just want to make sure that it is working. But back to the matter at hand, right? So I'm going to come over here and make sure that every area on this machine has a few drops of sewing machine oil. And again, make sure there's a hole right there. Just begging for oil. I'm going to try to keep oil mostly away from my shuttle area, with the exception of the shuttle race. And when I do the undercarriage, I do the same thing. I start up above and then I work my way down. I do this just to make sure I don't forget something. And if you do, let's say I forget one or two spots, it's not the end of the world, because the next time you oil it, you should be able to do that. Now, the manual different manuals will highlight different things. So this manual, if I ever get to see it, might say, hey, make sure you oil here, here, and here. I don't know, and I think I've gotten them all. There's some right there. So now, what does that mean? What it means is that if you have a sewing machine and you've had a part or parts of it that have just been so stubborn and you cannot get them to cooperate for you, when you get a section of the machine running again, you think, oh, this is great. But then the machine is still not wanting to perform for you. Well, you're not done yet. Sorry to say. Why? Because what you need to do is, again, one piece is connected to one, which is connected to another. And they all need to be happy. Because if any part of your sewing machine is not lubricated, if it's stuck with either rust corrosion or old oil or lint or God knows what, it will not run properly for you. So once you've gotten the most stubborn areas, and for me it was this one. Gosh, this took a lot of patience, but I knew that, I kind of knew going in. It's not my first frozen machine device experience with old sewing machines. So you just never know until you get a hold of it. So anyway, this is where we are. So now everything seems to be moving quite happily. Does this mean I'm going to be ready to bring the machine fully back? It is probably going to be, or almost going to be, time to basically put it all back together and try to see what the machine is going to do. And as I've mentioned to all of you in many times, the greatest piece of evidence for how well your machine is working is the stitch that it forms. If it doesn't make a stitch properly, and if it doesn't make it happily on the fabrics and materials it was designed for, you're still not done. Sometimes it takes a little running, right? So I know I'm gonna probably have some oil dripping here. I'll use fabrics that I'm not really worried about. They're just test fabrics. And you want to give the machine sort of a chance to run and sort of find its sea legs, if you will. It's loose, it's ready, but it may give a little fit and start at the beginning. But don't lose hope for that in that situation, because it may just be that the machine is, in the process of waking up, as they say. Now there's one last area that I told you I would take a look at, and it is the race. There are two ways to do this. It's really your choice as to which way you prefer. Of course, the race is sitting right here. It looks like a little racetrack. And that is the area that the hook is going to rest in, right? So I've got the hook here, and looks like almost every other class 15 hook I've ever seen. And of course, then the shuttle is here on this side. And when I put the hook back in, it'll go in just as it came out, we think. Make sure I've got this turned in a good spot. I know it goes in this way because it came out. But what did I want to show you? You can oil the race, or you can simply oil the portion of the hook that the race is going to come in contact with, which is this rim. Take the hook. When you take the hook out, you see it looks like that. Turn it on its backside and put 1, 2, 3 drops at the most, and you're good to go. So now I need to make sure that I can get the hook to get seated back where it was. Let me see if I can try it another way. There we go. So the hook, is it seated? I don't know. Yes, so the hook is now seated. Now the hook, by the way, and you all should know this by now, if you put the hook in and you don't cover it, it might flop out on you, but at least I know that the hook is basically ready to go. Tilt it down toward you and see if that gives you somewhat of a better view. But anyway, this is the last piece, and this is really for the benefit of the hook. I'm not sure that the machine would not run even if I hadn't oiled the hook itself. But so what do you think, everybody? Put your comments down below. Do you think this machine is going to run for me? Do you think I've done enough? Have I forgotten something? And if I have, what have I forgotten? So there are some aesthetic things I want to do. I'm going to be cleaning the body. I have bought some touch-up paints there's a scratch on the top. I don't know how that happened. I hope I didn't do it. and I'll be putting it all back together, and I'll try to make videos showing that if that's helpful for any of you. But just know that things are moving. But again, I didn't get in a hurry, took my time, and I always do this with every machine that I restore, even those that I'm very familiar with. If you go through the video catalog of my channel, my gosh, there are machines I've restored over and over again, but I still treat them with kindness and gently wake them up to make sure I don't cause any damage. And in this case, with the FOF 6, you know, it's one of the few FOFs I've worked on, and I've never worked on this model. So if you are brand new to a machine, you want to be extra slow and take your time. Don't get in a hurry. You might get stuck, but then you go online and you look for information. Again, you can find it at blogs, video blogs, vlogs as they call them. You can look at my channel and others where people are showing you how the techniques that they are using to gently, but hopefully successfully, wake up these amazing testaments to consumer products once upon a time. I hope this was helpful for all of you, and hope that you are, if you have a machine like this that's been giving you grief, I hope this is giving you hope. I hope this is giving you hope. A little redundant. I really hope this was helpful in inspiring you not to give up. So we will keep going at it. It's not ready to turn on yet. I still have not even tested the motor, didn't bother. I've gone through all of this, and I hope it works. From everything I can tell, this machine didn't get a lot of use. In fact, I think this machine has spent most of its life since 1956 asleep, which means it's kind of like getting new old stock, only covered in filth. So anyway, I hope all of you found this useful in some way or other, whether you have a FOF 6 or any other sewing machine. Maybe you are a sewer and you're trying to maintain your machine, or maybe you're trying to go and you don't want to pay for a restored machine. You want to get your own and try your hand at restoring it. And I always get so encouraged when I hear people say this, because there's so many of these machines out there, and everyone who looks at my channel could take up this hobby, and we'll never get to them all. But we can try to get to as many as we can. Thank you all for watching and supporting the channel, and we'll see you next time.